What is good? It is your boy, Mr. Frenzy from MrFrenzyProductions.com, and it has been a while since I have done a video, almost a week, so let's get into it. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a beat using only Midi. Now, there's going to be some things here and there that might pose problems, but I'm going to show you some ways to get around them, especially when it comes to the drums. Okie dokie, let's get started. All right, cool. So first off, let's start with a melodic loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick something that is appealing to my ears. And the whole point of this is to be able to kind of take the same structure, meaning the rhythm structure, and basically change the sound so it sounds completely different. Okay, so let's listen to this one first. Okay, I'm gonna pick this one because it has a chord structure to it. Okie dokie. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not going to pick the actual loop. I'm gonna pick the MIDI of the chord loop. Okay, so I'm gonna take this MIDI over here. I'm gonna drag it over to my sampler, and voila, we have our MIDI inputted. But as you might already know, nothing is playing because we haven't assigned the MIDI a sound. So we need to assign it a sound from a VST. So let's do that. Okay, let's use something that doesn't take up too much CPU. And I'm gonna pick something that works well with the chord structure, like a piano, bells, anything that's really kind of percussive. You don't really necessarily want to pick a flute or anything like that because flutes, violins, and all that sort of stuff aren't really designed for like chords. However, you can use them. It's just better to use something more percussive. So let's actually, should we use a guitar? Guitars are fine too. Let's use this harp guitar, hear how it sounds. Okay, so first off, you can kind of tell that the MIDI is cutting off really short. So what we want to do is we actually want to elongate the MIDI. Yeah, so we're going to have to kind of do that just about with everything, so that the thing with the sound is that it has a quick attack and a very quick decay as well. So what we're going to have to do is just elongate out the notes, and we should be okay. Okay, good. So I'm just going to work with that right now. We're going to call that guitar. And I actually like the speed of this. So this is at 140 when originally this sample right here is at 130. So that's good. Let me just check something here, make sure that everything's okay. Yeah, okay, good. All right, sorry about that. All right, next up what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pad. Let's have a listen to the pad though first. Okay, sounds just like a drone. So drone basically meaning it's just one level note all the way through. Let's listen to the piano as well. Okay, actually I'm gonna start with the piano. Pads, generally speaking, you can't really do much with because they're usually like, sort of like symphonic sounds like violins or, something that's very orchestral, okay? Something that has that creates a lot of vibe and atmosphere. So for right now, just to kind of get a foundation of the beat, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna apply the chord section or the harmonic section and then the melodic section, which is just the straight up piano notes, okie dokie. Okay, so I'm going to pick the same VST. This is actually a really good VST, bang for the buck. And see if I can actually, okay, so what are we using a piano here? Maybe we got a Plux around here. Let's use some of the ethnic. Or can we use the ethnic? Use the ethnic. Yeah, let's use a bell. I've rarely used this VST, so I'm not really used to the bells or anything like that. Okay, so now I have my actual VST here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the MIDI from this piano and I'm going to drag it over and have a listen. Okay, that works. I'm going to turn down the volume of the bells for a little bit because it's a little bit too harsh. I'm going to name this bells. Give it another color. Now, to my ears, it just feels a bit rushed, so I'm just going to bring down the BPM just about, yeah, about there. There we go. Has a little bit more atmosphere to it. Also another thing too, I'm actually going to pitch down the bells into a lower octave range by just hitting Control and down arrow. I'm going to listen to this because the bells to my ears are a little bit sharp in the higher frequency range. So let's have a listen. What I'm going to do as well, I'm going to pitch this up. Yeah, so over here we have the lower octave with the bell. Over here we have the higher octave with the bell, which is great when it comes to MIDI, is that the information rhythmically is already stated and also melodically. So basically all we have to do if we want something that's lower in an octave range, just drag that down. If we want the next section to be higher in a higher octave range, well, we just pitch it up. You see what I mean? Exactly what I just did here. Okay, next up, we're going to add that pad. We won't necessarily need the pad. We could really actually just make everything out of these two sections right here, but let's add a little bit of variation. Harps and strings. So right now what I'm using is I'm using more of the string sort of sound. We want something that is has a short attack. No. A long attack, and then also has a very, very long decay as well. Okay, let's have a listen. Okay, let's use that one, and let's try the pad here. Perfect. Done. Okay, so obviously with the sound that I created there, it had such a long decay to it that the sound was kind of like this. Sometimes with a lot of like pads and stuff like that, the sound is so long that it sounds weird when it starts overlapping and stuff, and even if you actually do the whole, cut off after next note. So this is perfect, just like this. We're gonna call this strings. Okay, great. So basically we have everything inputted. So this is the original loop, and really frankly it's gonna sound very similar. And then you have this right here. Okay, so basically it's just about the same thing, but that's okay. We might change some stuff here and there. Okay, but now let's input the drums. Now, drums, when it comes to MIDI, can be a bit tricky because you usually have to pay attention to two factors. One, you have to kind of listen to the actual drum loop to hear if it's kind of the vibe that you want. And another thing, you also have to pay attention to the BPM range as well. Let me show you what I mean exactly by that. So let's just go into just, my Mr. Frenzy drum loops right here. Now, you see over here we have 80 BPM, but up here we have 135 BPM. If you do 80 BPM and below, it's going to be, your drums are basically going to be in double time, meaning they're going to hit on the second beat and the fourth beat. So if I have 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, if it's in a lower BPM range, the snares are going to go ga, 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 ga. Now, if you're in the higher BPM range, it's going to be the snare drums is going to be on the third beat. So we got ga, ga, 1, 2, ga, 1, 2, ga, 4, 1. See what I mean? So you want to pay attention to that. So right now, I'm actually, if anything, I'm at 135 right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to the 134 one, see if I can find the snare. I got a side snare, or a clap is fine too. Claps. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So basically this should just be on the third beat. Now I'm going to take this clap MIDI, and then there we go. Now the thing is I have to assign it a sound, okay? So because like I said, it's just information. You play it. It's not gonna actually play. Okay, so let's just, what am I feeling? Am I feeling a snare? Yeah, let's use this one. Okay. I like this one better. Okay, cool. Great. So we have our snare now, okay? Now really when it comes to using the MIDI for like the hi-hats and the kicks and all that sort of stuff, as long as you're in the relative BPM range, you could just drag in stuff and hope it sounds good, okay? So if you're not used to programming drums or anything like that, you can use loops, or loops especially that have the MIDI files, to be able to create the drums, you know what I mean? Let's actually assign this color. This is snare. Okay, cool. Now next, I'm gonna bring in the hi-hats. I'm just gonna stick with this one. You know what, should we? Let's go with this one and just willy-nilly listen to the hi-hat. Does it even have a hi-hat? Yeah, it does. It's right there. So here's the hi-hat. Hats. Oh, gotta make sure I get the Midi. Good. Now, gotta go back, assign the a sound. Hi-hats. That one's fine. There we go, done. That's actually a really cool vibe. Not really particularly too, let me see if I can get one of my hi-hats. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool, great. And frankly, I really like that, and I don't think I would have came up with that, just to be honest. Even though technically I did already come up with that because I wrote the drums for that loop kit. But you know what I mean? What I mean basically is I wouldn't have come up with that hi-hat sound just if I were to input the hi-hats myself, you know what I mean? Okay, so it's kind of cool, like, you know, when you hear something, you're just like, oh man, that actually sounds dope. And then you just didn't have to do any work. All right, cool. All right, next, let's keep it relatively short and stuff like that. Let's input some kick drums. You know, I'm just gonna pick a kick. There we go. Because I know I'm gonna have to do that anyway, just to kind of save on time. So I have to keep going back and forth and back and forth. Drums, frenzy drums. Okay, let's go to the 150 sort of pack. Let's actually listen to this kick. Yeah, nice. Let's try it. Oh, wait, no, it's an audio file. You gotta go into the MIDI files. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I don't like these two kicks here. Done. I don't like that kick. Okay, good, awesome. So I got my kick done here, and that worked. Now there will be instances where it won't work, and you're just going to either have to replace the MIDI or just, you know, keep dragging the MIDI around until you have something that's appealing. But in that sort of case, I mean, you might as well just even just program your own drums. Now, if you don't know how to program your drums whatsoever, just go ahead and take a look at my drum sequencing videos. It explains how to do all this sort of stuff musically using the grid, so you understand, you know, quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, and all that sort of stuff to be able to program your drums and know what you're doing. Okay. Because rhythm, it's all about rhythm, and the entire grid is set up rhythmically. Okay, so we have this, so it's good. Now, let's go with let's start programming the 808. Now, I didn't include the 808 in this drum loop pack. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to find someone who has, actually, you know what, I think I do. Let's just stick to my products because I know what I have in them. Wave, okay, so this is an 808 here. Okay, so 139, okay, that's fine. Let's. The problem with 808s and stuff like that is that they're rhythmic and also they're melodic at the same time. It's really rare to actually find like an 808 MIDI that you can just drop in and just like voila, it's perfect. Actually, essentially, it's almost never going to happen, okay? I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you why in just a second. Let's pick an 808. That's fine. And go back. Okay. Let's just take this 808 and I'm going to show you what I mean. And also make sure to cut itself so it's not overlapping. So obviously, first thing you notice is that you can barely hear it. Let's turn it up. And also it's like really rumbly and it just doesn't work. And that's due to the fact that this 808 sample, it needs to be in its right octave range, okay? And another thing, frankly, it's not in the right key. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight everything, hit Control up arrow, and have a listen. Okay, so first off, I'm not particularly liking the sound of this 808 for this track. But what I'm going to do too is I'm going to see if I can pitch. Actually, it's pretty close. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out the 808 sound, because the 808, the sound just doesn't work for the vibe of the beat. Let's try this one. Okay. Okay, so it's in between these two notes to my ears. Let's have a listen. Let's have another listen. Remember, with 808s, it's hard to distinguish the exact pitch in low frequency range. So, I'm just going to bring this up. Listen to just the harmonic section. Yeah, okay, so that's right. So the best way to do this is to literally listen to the harmonic section, so the chords, and match up the pitch of the 808 with the chords, okay? Now, don't just take this note and copy that with this, because sometimes the 808, frankly, is not tuned to the note that it needs to be, okay? So it's something that you might have to do by ear. Okay, cool. So make sure that everything's on now. Okay, so basically, I'm kind of digging the rhythm that's going on here. I don't like the notes that are being pitched up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simplify. Okay, and I'm going to start adding my own stuff. Try that, and also now it's way too loud. Okay, so these notes are out of tune. Okay, so essentially, obviously, you wouldn't do this. You wouldn't do this quickly. There's some other things I would do to add in some slides and all this sort of stuff. But it kind of defeats the whole purpose of using MIDI 808, because then you just, like I said, with the bass drum, you might as well just do it all yourself. You know what I mean? So, I think with 808 MIDI, yeah, go ahead and try it. But most likely it's not going to work. Okay, so that's only the only downside to usually dragging and dropping in MIDI is really the 808. Now, you could drag and drop the 808 first and then drag everything else around the 808. But then you have to make sure that, everything's in key and all that sort of stuff. So I hate to say it, guys, but yeah, MIDI with 808 is not the best, but it's still doable, as you can see here. But you're still going to need to develop your ear to make sure that it works with the tune. I'm going to bring this up an octave down. Yeah, that's more like it. I just want kind of a little bit of a rumble to kind of, just kind of keep a groove going, Okay, fantastic. So essentially, that is it for this one. We've made an entire beat, and all we have to do is just, structure it out, and then we have all the components that we need just using MIDI. Now, I did have to change a few things here and there, but it wasn't really all that drastic, especially for just plug and playing, you know what I mean? So, I hope you learned something. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you've learned anything from this video. And this is Mr. Freds from MrFredsProductions.com, and I will see you in the next one. Gonna make 2 more of these type of beats. See you later.